about now, there's a way of getting and onboarding engineers. Also, there is office staff. But I'm going to talk particularly about onboarding engineers. So what's the biggest thing that engineers want? First thing I believe that engineers want is money. You know, the most important thing, if you're a good engineer, you want to get paid good money. You also want a lovely van. You also want a fuel card. You want all these things. But again, if you're getting an engineer, you've got to pay the going rates. If you pay cheap, you pay twice. So you've got to do your research on qualified engineers to see what's coming into your company. Now, there's various ways you can do this. So I think you've got a difference in the questions you can ask. There's lots of questions out there, but you can ask them questions like, how long have you been doing it? What's your experience? What have you worked on? Who have you worked for? How many boilers do you fit? Because there's a big difference between somebody who's fitting 10 boilers or 150 boilers a year, etc. You know, you've got to be wary how many breakdowns can you do in a day? How much service can you do in a day? So them are the like key questions you need to ask these qualified engineers. Now, also as well, I would definitely say get references from previous employers, because I've fallen into that trap where I've not took references and took people on because I've took the word of mouth because there was great bullshitters, but ultimately it's really cost me money that in the long run. So I would say make sure when you're getting engineers in, ask them these questions. Now there's a big difference between apprentice and engineers. Now I've always taken on apprentices, so we've had apprentices through the company. Some of them have made it, some of them have not. I would say it's an equal split who've made it and an equal split who's not made it. But ultimately, the apprentices, if after 2 years they're not getting it, you know they've got a problem. Now, some companies out there would say, no, mate, you're totally wrong. If after the first 6 months they're not getting it, what you've got to realise that these are children. Now, any apprentices out there, don't take that derogatory at all. But you're 16-year-old, you come in. Sometimes you might be like, it's not for me. My parents have pushed me into it. There might be various different reasons why you're in the trade. Now, you'll be very lucky if you get somebody that really is interested in it and comes into it like I was. I was a bit of a geek, to be fair. But ultimately, if you do, our best engineer now clicked about year 2, maybe year 3, he clicked, and he's our best engineer. So when people say, oh, well, you've got, you don't have to give them that time, I disagree with that, because some of the best engineers I've got, they took a while to click. They could do the job, but they was too busy, weekends, going out, and, that's what young people do. It's great if you get someone that doesn't, but in 2024, I'll challenge you to find that. So, yeah, work with the apprentices, praise them. Don't go mad at them all the time, because we know that they mess up quite a lot. They make silly mistakes. They cost us money. I mean, some of our apprentices have dropped ceilings, damaged carpets, smashed windscreens on cars because when they've been coring, they've not checked what's below it. There's so it can go on and on and on. But the problem, what I used to do is I used to focus on the negs and never on the positives, and there were loads of positives. So now, when we have our monthly meeting, we'll clear the negs out first, and we'll always leave on a positive. So apprentices versus qualified engineers, what would I do? I think now we've got some apprentices that have now just qualified. I think now for the next stage for us, for our next engineer, I'm going to look for someone who's qualified, because ultimately we're at a time of the company's growing. Have we got time to train an apprentice? We will have if we get another engineer and we can put him with them. So it depends on what you want to do. If you're a smaller company and you're growing and you're a one-man band, I'd recommend an apprentice. If you're a successful company and you're already doing £1 million and you want to go further, maybe look at getting the best engineer. Now, how do you get the best engineer? You've got to offer packages, haven't you? You've got to offer better than anybody else in that market's offering. So ultimately, you've got to think about that, what you're going to offer. And also, you've got to make it attractive for people who come to your company to look what he's doing, look what he's putting into training, look at his offices, look at his vans. I really want to work for this guy. His uniforms are all smart. If they get damaged, they give us new ones. There's no can I have? It's all there. Now, I must admit, I've slacked on uniforms. We use a company that get them in, and they're very delayed. So what we're doing now is we're pre-ordering and just keeping a box so that they can keep changing the uniforms, because ultimately, the representation of the company is the first impression the customer sees, so you've got to look good. So ultimately, I'm looking for a qualified engineer at the minute. We're always looking, to be fair. We're always going to be recruiting, because ultimately, we're going to get to a level. I need to double capacity. I need to get to a point where we're doubling capacity, not for more money for me, but for more freedom and more time to myself. I'm pretty much buying my time. That's why I think we'll go down the engineer route, because I know this sounds extremely selfish, but I don't know if I've got enough time to train apprentices. If we generically get one on because we need one to go with an engineer, of course we'll do that. That's a definite and it's a must. So depending on where you're at, apprentices are very good, and I do think we need to invest in the future. I don't think the government do enough. I personally think they should be giving money towards employers, because at the end of the day, you're paying them every day for a day off a week. You're paying them a day off every single week to go to college. You get a grant roughly of about 1,500 quid. You're lucky if that's going to cost you damages or cover your damages. So ultimately, I think the government should do more. They're complaining about, oh, there's not enough trades, but they're doing nothing really about it. They're not coming to employers saying, right, if you take this apprentice on, what we will do, we'll put 30% towards the wage till year 4 or whatever it is, the apprenticeship. That's what they should be doing. Or give them a tax relief because they're in training. Because ultimately, that's where the problem is, because people don't want to come into our industry. So going back to qualified engineers versus apprentices, I think there's a bit of a level on both sides. I've done both, but at the minute we'll probably go qualified engineer because I've just not got the time, because I need to grow quicker. The apprentices now that we've got have just qualified. They've still got a couple of years to go out and learn and get in the real world, but ultimately I'm going to go with qualified engineers. I'm sorry if everybody ever keep dropping my eyes and you're not getting me there, but I apologise for that. But I've got a big screen in front of me that I can see of myself, and I keep looking at it. So I get distracted. So if you wonder why my eyes are dropping, now you know why. Honesty and transparency is the best policy. So yeah, what would I do? I've said it 3 times, 4 times maybe. At the minute, qualified. But don't let that put you off bringing on apprentices, because I do believe apprentices bring so much to the table. It's just at this time we need to grow, and the apprentices won't do it quick enough. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there now. Just give us some feedback. Tell me what you thought. Tell me your experiences. Tell me what you've been. And everybody, yeah, that's great. So now I'm going to talk about systems, processes, and operations. So basically, in every company, you need a system, a process, and an operation. Now, the reason for that is you need something that you can teach to team members. And you need to be basically looking at something that's easily taught, nothing complicated that you can replicate. So we use systems, process, and operations. So to run the company, we use a system called Commusoft. Commusoft's a great system. It runs all the operations in the company. Now, Wes, he takes care of all our operations. So his job is to make sure all that's going nice and smoothly. And then obviously we have other systems and processes and operations. So the other system that we use for financial is a package called Zero, which integrates with everything that we have. So the accountant can see everything live. We can get weekly updates of our account, so we know exactly how much we're spending, what we need to do, and we can take action on it. The other system that we use is Dext, which we then, every invoice that we have or gets created, we get the merchants to email that across. That sits nice and neatly in our Zero. The accountant then can look at it, and he can see when I'm overspending, what I'm doing. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a game changer. So that Zero and Dex, them as a package, have been a game changer for us. I never realised how important it was to know your numbers. I went on a mentorship, and I was kind of not realising my numbers, because when you're turning over £1 million, you can soon get quickly into debt without even knowing it. And I've done it. So that's very, very important. We also use different processes for leads. Now, we do use a system. It's Go Eye Level. So basically, that does all our leads that come in from one area. So if we get a lead, it all pinpoints to one area where the team can go on and have a look. We are looking currently at going over to HubSpot, because that's a great product as well. I've had a couple of meetings with them. I really like their product because it allows you to have one system where all your leads come into, and you can work from that, and it's very teachable to everybody. So you can teach Commusoft how to use that system. The engineers can be taught how to do it. It roughly takes about 6 weeks, I think, for everyone to get the full head around it, because the engineer side is different than the office side. So probably 3 weeks each, if that makes any sense. But if you want to get the knowledge what we've got, it takes quite a bit longer than that on Commusoft. We also have trackers on the vans. Now, we have trackers on the vans not because we're trying to track the lads and see what they're up to. We want to make their journey easier in the day. So if we know that an engineer is close, we can go on the trackers and ping that job to him because he's closer. It just really helps. So the trackers are very important as well. We also have a phone system. The phone system is amazing because it just allows us to record the calls, the training. When we put them on hold, they can listen to our products, what we've got going on. It's very easy to do a conference call, push things forward, divert it out of hours. It's, everybody should have a phone system. When you get to a level, and I would say you're doing around about £300,000, you need to start even if you're doing £50,000 and you get used to these systems, process and operations on your own and you learn it. Some people, it's too much work, it's too much hard work. Yes, it is, of course it is. Everything's hard work. But once you put these and implement, it's crazy how quickly that they help you. So the systems, process and operations that I mentioned, we use them on the daily. We also do internal stuff with merchants, and we use a system called Trello, which is a bit like a whiteboard. So you can put stuff on there so that the merchants can go out and see what you're doing. So from an office, you can take pictures, add it to it from site, send it to them. They can send you a price back. Everybody in the office can see it. It's similar to WhatsApp, but does a hell of a lot more. So that's Trello. And it's free unless you go onto the Pro. The other stuff that we use as well is Canva. So if we want to do any design, we do outsource a lot of our social media and stuff, but we do our own stuff. So we use Canva. These are all great little tools that you can have. The free version is okay, but we get the professional one, the paid one. But ultimately, these systems, process and operation, if you look at all the big boys and all the medium-sized companies and the smaller businesses that have got 10 to 20 staff, they're all using these systems, process and operations. And the reason we're doing it is because it's teachable. So my aim is to make myself redundant in each role as quickly as possible. I've been saying that for 20 odd years, but ultimately that's my game. So it's important that you get your systems, process and operations. Now the processes that we use are basically, we have like specifics. So we'll come in the morning and we have a process where we'll speak to the team, have a meeting, make sure everyone's okay. Are you okay? Get that out there, get them out the door, get the lads out the door. But we have a process so that we know wherever. I ring everybody up pretty much every night to see how the day's been. And I would class that as a process because it's in my process. How's your day gone? How have you been? Have you had a bad day, a good day? What are you up to? Communication in the whole of this is very important to talk to your team. And as well, it gets lonely being a director at the top and not talking to your team, because ultimately you're the one who's got to drive everything. You've got massive responsibilities on your shoulders, which people are not aware of. The systems, the process and operations that you've put in place will make your life easier. So I've decided to, be big on this. Some of the girls will say to us, bloody hell, mate, you're buying another, you can't do that, it's costing too much money. And I'll explain to them, well, I get it's money, but it's investment. And the reason is I'm buying back my time. Because if I can put a system, a process, and operation in that I don't have to get involved in, that's fantastic. So now the girls deal with a lot of the quoting, which they couldn't have done without us putting systems in place. To when does Mick need to get involved? Usually I only get involved after Wes can't, so after Gaz can't. So anything that these lads can't answer, then it'll come through to me. And I'm a big believer, you've got to step back and allow your team to use these system, processes, and operations that you've put in place. Don't put them in place and then don't use them. Because a lot of people do, they'll go and put all these systems in place and then just go back to how they were. Because you've got to keep doing it. I keep mentioning about the showering every day to keep clean. It's the same thing. You've got to keep your systems, your processes and operations moving. And if you get a bottleneck, add that into the processes, systems and operations. It is pretty simple and it's transferable through any business. Any successful business out there that you see has got these in place and they're so important. So again, just to touch on that, if I can remember them all, we've got Commusoft that does operations. That's a fantastic package. It's expensive, but it's really, really good. We've got Xero combined with Dext. Very good for your financials where you know you're up to. Make sure you get an accountant that understands that package when you sign up to an accountant, because that's important as well. We've also got High Level at the minute, which may be going over to HubSpot. Very good packages that control all your leads so you know where they backlink everything. You've got to do that. We've also got Trello for internal communication with merchants and ourselves. We've also got trackers on the vans. We've also got a phone system. There will be stuff that I've missed out here that will come back to me because we have got more than what I'm saying, because we keep trying various different ones, because I don't think you're ever happy with it because it's evolving every day, especially social media. We're looking at systems like we've now currently got an AI chatbot, which is basically talking back to customers. It's annoying a lot of customers because it never shuts up and it doesn't know when to shut up. So ultimately, but at least we've got something when we're asleep in bed that somebody's talking and answering. Surprised how many people get through to us in the morning and ask us questions, etc. And she's pretty good. She's called Jessica. She's pretty good at what she's doing, but she's still learning. So be patient, any of our customers that are seeing that at the moment. So I'm going to wrap it up pretty quick now. I hope that that's been very helpful for you, the system, process and operations. And you'll find most of the companies that are out there are using these systems or they've designed their own.